Hi, Laura here, the main teacher at virtualtarotschool.com. I'm going to tell you a little bit about one of the other courses we have at Virtual Tarot School now. This time I'm going to talk a little bit about the Masterclass Series 2. We talked about Masterclass Series 1 in the last video, and you can see that on the Masterclass Series 1 course page if you're interested. So Series 2, in the same way that Series 1 of the Masterclasses is a more immersive, advanced look into tarot for people who have a grasp on the beginner's concepts in the Tarot for Beginner course and want to take their readings to another level. Masterclass Series 2 is actually going to give you a more immersive look at the major arcana cards. As you may have remembered, Series 1 focused on the 4 suits, and in that way it sort of really unpacked the minor cards in a more immersive fashion. The major cards are what are unpacked here in Series 2. There are 22 major arcana cards, and each one of them is looked at in Series 2 in a very immersive way with its own lecture. So you get an entire class or workshop on each of the 22 classes. Yes, that does mean that there are 22 classes in this series. It is a very in-depth series. You could put a lecture on to play in the background while you're doing other things around your life. You will also always have lifetime access to all of these courses, of course. So, there is a lot in here, but you will always be able to access it, and you can go through it entirely at your own pace. Buying this and adding this to your library of tarot trainings is a really great investment. So why does each major arcana card warrant its own course, its own workshop? Well, the major arcana cards are so vitally important, not only to our understanding of tarot, but to our larger understanding of who we are as human beings, really. Each of the major arcana cards correlates to an archetypal character or experience that you will, once you start studying them, you'll recognize them from all sorts of different stories, mythologies from throughout human history. And so we look at mythology, we look at stories, we look at different cultures' interpretations of these archetypal experiences. We look at the symbology in each of these cards as well. We do visualizations, meditations, and prayers on the themes of these cards, helping to bring their positive energies into your life in a fuller, more complete and helpful way. So not only are we conceptually and analytically and academically analyzing these cards, but we're also working on embodying the energy of the cards to a certain extent in this series as well. You're going to learn a lot about mythologies and cultures from around the world in this course, if you haven't done already. And you're also going to learn about how a lot of these major arcana cards also relate to each other. We're going to look at the numbers on the cards. We're going to look at cards cross some relationships to each other. I know that might not mean a lot now, but it will be very significant in your context of how you understand the cards when you're done with this course. We're going to look at visual similarities and symbolic similarities between cards. Sometimes you'll see the same little symbol show up on 2 or 3 major arcana cards, and I unpack a lot about what those symbols represent for you here. There are also, in addition to mythologic themes in these cards, there are themes that correlate to astrology. There are themes that correlate to the Kabbalah or the Kabbalah of the Hebrew philosophers, and there's just so much in these cards that you're going to find that these courses are an adventure in of themselves, really. So this is one of the most immersive courses here at Virtual Tarot School. At the time of filming this video all about them for you, I've actually just got started in this, I don't know what else to call it, but a lecture series right now, and that's kind of the format that Masterclass Series 2, the coursework is taking, is it's like a lecture series and a lecture on each of these archetypes. And it's going to be a beautiful, very well-rounded addition to your tarot learning library. Like all of the other courses here, you're going to find them essentially in a video format where you'll have slides with lots of the symbology and correlations and mythology explained to you in visual form. You'll also see many, many examples of all of these major arcana cards from an array of different tarot decks. And I like showing you different decks, like I explained in the last video, to give you different artists' visual representations of the same major arcana card and how they've all interpreted that card in different ways really deeply informs and fills out your knowledge of each of these major arcana cards beyond the scope of just what a couple of cards decks would do. So we do look at a lot of different decks in this, and through that we get to bring up and talk about different mythological stories and tie-ins, different energies, different experiences that you might have associated with these major arcana cards. There is so much coming to you in this course, and I'm so excited to be building it out with you this year. If you're one of my first students into this course and you decide to go ahead and take the plunge into this immersive journey with me, thank you for joining me, and I'll see you over at Virtual Tarot School.